Now, when it comes to Juventus under Spalletti, the first surprise has been the resurgence of Koopmeiners in this left-sided centre-back position. After the game against Cremonese, Spalletti came out and said he constantly commanded those up front. He was aggressive. He was defensive. If we had used him more in the ball circulation, he would have come more into midfield to create superiority. That was our intention. After seeing those comments, I stood outside and felt like Pablo Escobar, hands behind my back, staring into the distance. Juventus are revolving. Now, anybody that's watched me long enough would know whenever I try to analyze a team's performances, their setup, their formations, their tactics, I always say, hey, if you're deploying a back three system, a back five system, you really have a luxury. And the luxury is you've got yourself centre backs that can now step forward into midfield to give you that numerical advantage. And I always use the example of Tuchel at Chelsea against Manchester City in the Champions League final. And I always say Rudiger, Christensen, they literally stepped into midfield and overloaded Manchester City's whole midfield. I always use that example because for me, it's the luxury of a back five system. When Tudor wasn't doing it, I was highlighting it. When Juventus, where are the defenders in the summer? I was saying, hey, get me technical defenders because they could step in. It will help Locatelli so much. It will help Thuram so much. So when Spalletti came out after the game against Cremonese and said, I wanted Koopmeiners to step into midfield to give us superiority, brother. Dun, 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 dun. That's not really how. Basically, that's the Narcos theme song. I felt on top of the world. I genuinely felt on top of the world. Now, what does Spalletti mean by superiority in midfield? It goes something like this. When Juventus playing out of the back, when Juventus overload the opposition and they're trying to create opportunities, Thuram and Locatelli would automatically bomb forward to help the Vlahovic, the Conceiçãos, the Yildiz, Koopmeiners and Kalulu as the two wide centre-backs. They now step forward into midfield. Prime example, Sporting Lisbon. Look at this. You've got Koopmeiners and Kalulu right behind Locatelli and Thuram. And guess what? It becomes like a little square, a little rectangle. In the middle, there are the two Sporting Lisbon midfielders. If that ball goes into that territory, Juventus have a numerical advantage because it automatically becomes 4v2. So whoever the player is, if they receive the ball, Thuram comes from behind, Koopmeiners comes running directly at him, Juventus regain possession. Hence, you see, a lot of teams, when they see Juventus positioning themselves like that in the center of the field, they don't play down the middle. They play out wide into the channels. This is a numerical advantage. Oh, it was so good to see. It was so good to see against Sporting Lisbon. Another example is when the opposition are trying to play out of the back. Spalletti, he wants to go man-to-man. The three at the back are not the Unsullied in Game of Thrones, but they have to just stand side by side. No. You look at this one. Koopmeiners actually stepped forward because he saw Thuram is occupying one midfielder. Locatelli is occupying the other one. Me, I need to step forward into midfield to mark the other one. You can see, look, man to man, Koopmeiners has left his defensive line and joined, shall we say, like the midfield line, the second phase of play. He's joined the center of the field because he's like, listen, if I stay in my back three at the back, there's one Sporting Lisbon midfielder unmarked, unoccupied, and they can easily just progress the ball into him, and now he's running at us. I need to leave my defensive line and go and join Thuram and Locatelli to be this makeshift midfielder, but most importantly, to give us that superiority, just to cancel them out. And for me, I must say, I loved seeing it, and that's why, like, when I reviewed the game against Sporting, I said, guys, poor result, good performance, but there's a lot of positives. Like, these are things that are once mastered, results will come, dominance will come. Juventus won't be losing midfield battles. Like this is another example against Sporting Lisbon when they're trying to play out of the back once again. Koopmeiners, he steps up because he knows, hey, Yildiz is down the left-hand side. He's occupied. I need to step up. Why? Because if I step up, I know I have Gatti behind me as the third centre-back. With play being down the left-hand side, I know Kalulu, when play is down the left-hand side, Kalulu doesn't have to step up. Kalulu can just sit. So Juventus would automatically have themselves about, what, 3, 4 players? This is the luxury of having 5 centre-backs. Like, I hate it. Like, I truly hate it when people turn around and say, you know what it is? A back 5 system, it's so pragmatic. No. It all comes down to your principles. Principles of play. Ding, 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 ding. You could, like, some coaches make 4-3-3 look pragmatic, while some coaches make 4-3-3 look so offensive-minded, yeah? The thing I like about Spalletti, and even after the game against Cremonese, he said, listen, I put Koopmeiners in that position to show everybody we're not going out there to defend. We're going out there to win. We're going out there to dominate. Hence, I got a midfielder in a centre-back position, but I want him to step into midfield. And I feel like he truly smashed it. Like, this was an example. If you were now to look at, like, the heat map / touch map of Kalulu and Koopmeiners against Sporting Lisbon, look, both of them, that little right-hand side into the opposition half, they're dominating it. That's where they're getting touches on the ball. That's where they're involved outside of their defensive responsibilities. You could see Koopmeiners on the left, Kalulu on the right. So if you're Thuram and you're Locatelli, you're thinking, listen, I can go forward because I have Koopmeiners, I have Kalulu, but they're not 20, 30, 40 yards behind me. There's no such thing as Epstein Island. No, these guys are like, what, 10, 15 yards behind me? They've stepped into our territory. They've stepped into midfield. So in a sense, like when you look at this photo, it feels like you've practically got yourself 4 midfielders. But on paper, it isn't. It's 2 midfielders and it's 2 centre-backs that are now playing like midfielders to give you that edge. Like, I just want to highlight something. Has anybody realised the game against Cremonese and the game against Sporting? Has anybody realised, 1, how higher up somebody like Locatelli is? 2, Locatelli is shooting, bro. Cremonese, he had himself about 3 shots. Against Sporting, he had himself about 3 shots. Locatelli was one of those players that wouldn't even get into those areas under Tudor because he was always instructed to drop so deep to pick up the ball to progress it. What about Thuram? How many shots did Thuram have against Sporting Lisbon? These players now could actually go and play the game as midfielders because they know we've got centre-backs that can step into the positions that we leave behind. Like, for me, it was so great. For me, it's an element of positional play. For me, it's just players being dynamic, players knowing if he goes, I have to push forward and occupy his space. If I go, somebody has to either shift across, somebody has to drop deeper just to occupy my space. It's great because it leaves the opposition guessing, but most importantly, it just gives you an advantage in the opposition half, whether it's defending transitions, whether it's regaining the ball, whether it's sustaining pressure. Locatelli is having shots on goal. Thuram is having shots on goal. This is very good because it's just like, let's be real. When it comes to football, if you don't shoot, you don't score. Locatelli, one of the criticisms that I've always seen of him is he doesn't score enough. Maybe it's because he doesn't shoot enough. Why? Because now you've got Koopmeiners. Yes, he's a midfielder by trade, but let's be real. I told you guys a while ago, AZ Alkmaar, he played as a centre-back. But I feel like against Sporting Lisbon, he done really, really, really well because he was very progressive. Like when the opportunity presented itself. And I feel like why this role might suit somebody like Koopmeiners. 1, you could see like what Tudor was saying about him. Even like Koopmeiners coming out and saying it himself. Like he said, listen, I'm not the best at playing with my back to goal. Me, I like to receive the ball facing play. Now, let's be honest. Besides centre-backs, goalkeepers, there's not really many players in the field that can receive the ball facing play. Like midfielders tend to receive it with their back to goal. They have to take it on the half turn to start facing play. Strikers always have to play with their back to goal. As a centre-back, when Koopmeiners now gets the ball, he could see the whole pitch. And like I said to you guys, even though I got it wrong, I said I felt like somebody like Spalletti would focus on Kelly down the left-hand side because he's left-footed. Now, I never knew Spalletti was 2 steps ahead and thinking of playing somebody like Koopmeiners out of position as a centre-back. But when you look at the goal against Sporting Lisbon, this doesn't happen without having a left-footed centre-back on the left side of the 3. He receives the ball. It's on his stronger foot. He could literally see everything ahead of him. He feeds it 10, 15 yards into Kenan. There was another example like earlier on in the game. Once again, he receives the ball 10, 15, 20 yards. He's on his strong foot. He could see play. He could see the entire channel down the left-hand side. It helps. If you had yourself a right-footed centre-back on the left-hand side, that pass doesn't go down the left-hand side. It automatically goes inwards in the opposite direction because every single player would like pass the ball on his stronger foot. So if you're right-footed, it goes to the right. If you're left-footed, it goes down the left. And for me, listen, I never ever sat down and petitioned for somebody like Koopmeiners to be playing out of position as a centre-back. But I think Spalletti has got it spot on because he's been progressive. He's been aggressive in his duel winning. And I feel like Koopmeiners is one of those confidence players, shall we say. And you could see like he's growing in that role. He's beginning to understand it a bit more and more. Like, of course, playing as a centre-back in the Dutch league in comparison to the Italian league is very difficult. It's going to require for him to be a bit more physical. But I think at the moment, the biggest luxury of having Koopmeiners as a centre-back is 1, the numerical overloads in midfield. 2, the ball progressing ability because now Locatelli doesn't have to drop. And you know what's crazy? Like this might sound mad. Because now Locatelli doesn't have to drop, you can now just utilise him as an attacking midfielder. You can utilise him as a true midfielder. And because of that, Don't be surprised if whoever you take out, you could take Locatelli out of the team, you could take Thuram out of the team, put Moretti, put HAJJBALL, both will be dangerous in the final third because now they know we have that cushion behind us. I have Kalulu, I have Koopmeiners, and for me, I feel like the weak link now out of the trio is Gatti. And I think Bremer just comes and takes that central role. Because I always tell you guys, when you play a back three system, your center of the back three always has to be your strongest center back. So for me, I think he goes Bremer, Koopmeiners to the left, Kalulu to the right. Kalulu and Koopmeiners are the two that step into midfield. They can give and go with the wide players. Bremer is the one that sits because he's the best defender at the club. For me, I feel like he got it spot on. For me, Koopmeiners, this definitely is a resurgence. But most importantly, Juventus can now seriously dominate games. They can now actually treat their midfielders like midfielders. Midfielders can now actually play the game. Like, trust me, besides players being hungry and motivated under Spalletti, it's no surprise the amount of shots Thuram was having against Sporting. It's no surprise the amount of shots Locatelli is currently having under Spalletti. Look at how high they are. And once again, that helps because now they can join in the press with the Kenans, the Conceiçãos, the Vlahovic. Like, there's no such thing as Epstein Island because now there's players actually taking over the island, and it's Kalulu and Koopmeiners. So it's great. And like I said against Sporting, don't focus on the result. Focus on the performances because over time, those performances will start resulting in the correct result. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys on another one.